Recently, I got into a relationship with somebody, and I just felt that I had to tell him whether anything got further or not. The process I went through to tell him, I spoke to my mum about it, so I talked to her and asked her how did she tell my dad about for her, and then I sort of questioned him about what he knew about it beforehand. So I questioned him about a lot of things, like whether it was HIV or cancer, or a lot of illnesses that happen. And then he was pretty clued up about it, so I knew, yeah, he's alright. He would know, he'd be fine to understand what's going on. And then I sat him down and told him, and then that was it.
I do them. I like people that I have had bad experiences with, like telling them and everything. I do talk to them about it if they want to. 9 times out of 10 they do want to, because whereas like my friend now, I actually told a friend like 2 days ago. Yeah, and we in that process at the moment of me talking to him and stuff like that. But yeah, he's now seen it in such a positive light, and he's just like he's taken the opportunity to actually say, do you know what, we actually need this in our PSHE lessons, like the proper facts and everything, because it's only ever covered under sex, you know, and it should be highlighted more.
Many children are told that they must not tell anybody else when they are told they have HIV. This creates an experience of secrecy around HIV. However, when children are older, and often during adolescence, they are likely to feel they want to tell someone else about their HIV at some point. It's very important that children and adolescents are supported in understanding how to make a decision about who they want to tell and how they might plan to do this.
I do think that it's important for children to talk about their HIV to other people because they often don't get the opportunity to talk about their HIV. In our experience, they don't tend to talk about it at home because it's something that's not talked about much. In our experience, they don't talk about HIV at school because schools either respond really, in the past have responded poorly, or just feel ill-equipped to deal with HIV. But generally they're not able to talk about it anywhere, and I think that they struggle with all the stigma that is out there in the adult population. I think they self-stigmatise, they hear all of the wrong information about HIV and then they apply it to themselves.
There will come a point where an older adolescent wants to tell someone else about their HIV, and early messages can help prepare them for this. So considering how we can provide early preparation for sharing, children would not be told that they can't tell other people they have HIV, but instead they would be asked, who would you want to tell? This can then be explored, and the children take part in the decision made as to whether telling would be a good thing to do at this point. It's very important that the younger child can understand clearly that there are people they can talk to about HIV, and that they're clear about who those people are. And it's also very important to hear from them who they would like to tell.
If a young person comes to us to talk about wanting to name their HIV status to someone else, to a peer, we'll talk about things like, have they ever talked to that young person about anything HIV related? Have they got any idea about what the response might be? And we'll talk about what they want the response to be, what they think the response might be, and how they might answer any questions that the other person that they're telling might have about HIV.
Me and my cousin are really close, and I knew I could disclose to him. And when I disclosed to him, it actually came back with him disclosing to me and telling me that he was positive as well. And that was like really, it was a really weird experience, but I felt so relieved. Like, he's pretty much my best friend in the world, and that I wasn't alone, and he was in the same boat as me. And also the experience of disclosing to someone and seeing how like open it can be, and how you have that one less thing that you're hiding from someone you really care about, is really like enlightening in a way.
Personally, I haven't disclosed to anyone for no particular reason. Not that I'm not comfortable with it, it's just I haven't been in a situation where I felt that it was truly necessary. Like, I haven't been in any situation where I thought, I need to tell them this because this might happen, or I've thought about it, so when it does happen, I'm prepared for the reaction?
We know a number of people who have told a sexual partner and are still going out with them. We've got one young person who has a really positive relationship with her HIV negative partner and has since gone on to have a baby, and they live together, and he's fully aware of her HIV status. So that was a really positive outcome. Then we worked with a young person who told their sexual partner that they were HIV positive, and the sexual partner left them but didn't tell anyone else about the HIV. And then we've got the other extreme where a young person has told their sexual partner that they're living with HIV, and then the partner has left them and told other people, for instance on Facebook. Because we've got a peer support group, young people get to hear about other young people's experiences. So we'll always applaud the positives that come out of telling someone about HIV.
So for me, I went through a process and I've only started recently telling people last year, and I think it's basically having that internalised stigma, because I know some of the reactions that people have had before me. I sort of realised that I was sort of part of the problem, because I would never talk about HIV, if that makes sense. So in my own way, I was also contributing to the stigma. Recently, I've been going through sort of like, not a battle, shall I say, but sort of like back and forth discussions with my mother, because me and my mum are both positive and my little brother isn't positive. And so I mentioned to her after camp last year that we should tell my brother that we're positive, or not, that I wanted to tell my brother that I was positive. But obviously if I told my brother that I was positive, I'd basically disclosed her status as well, so it had to sort of be like a joint decision. And she found that really difficult because she assumed that he wouldn't be able to handle it. So recently she's been like, oh no, I think we should tell him.
Thinking carefully through the consequences of telling is very important. But it's important that this is not led by fear, but instead careful planning to try and support a good outcome for the child.
The first person I told was one of my close mates, was my close mates. Like, because I really, really felt lonely at that time and I didn't know who to tell. And it just kind of slipped out because I was just like in that moment, like I want everyone to understand like why I do certain stuff. And I told her, and she was like really, really shocked because we were still young then. She was shocked, like, and she was just like, oh, I'll be there for you. Like, it's not gonna change nothing. I'll always support you and everything. And it never changed anything until about years later, to be honest. And what because one time, like, she decided, like, because she had a best friend, because we're just close friends, so she had a best friend. So I think one of her best friends approached her and said, oh, like, one of my family members have got HIV or something like that. And she was like, oh, don't worry. But, like, she didn't mean to say it, but she just said it, like, trying to comfort her friend, and it just came out.
The kinds of things that I would address with a child or a young person who wanted to disclose or was thinking about disclosing or talking about their status with others would be to find out about, well, what would they be hoping to achieve? Are they hoping to deepen a friendship? Are they hoping to look for support? Are they trying to deal with their status in a different way? So I think understanding some of those motivations is important. Sometimes young people tell each other things and then the relationship breaks apart. So then the young person with HIV might be left with all sorts of worries about, well, who is that person now going to tell? So it needs they need to be able to think, well, there might be consequences of telling. Some of them I'm able to think about and some I'm not. Some of them I'm able to anticipate, some of them I'm not. So what are the pros and cons? So those are the kinds of discussions, but generally it's about giving the young person a message that, yes, you are a worthy, valuable person. There is nothing to be ashamed of. And if other people do not react well, that is not your problem, but it probably will hurt.
If there are concerns about sharing HIV with a particular individual or an institution, it's really important that the adolescent is able to appreciate this and is also kept at the centre of the decision making. as this is their personal health information.
And the next person was my girlfriend, and she didn't take it as well as my friend, obviously, but she was crying. She thought she was going to die. She was like, have I got it? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, you haven't. We've been safe. She was like, I know, but what if I was like, but we used the condom, so it doesn't matter. And it was like, so to keep her happy and stuff like that, we went to get her tested and stuff, and obviously it came back negative anyway, so she was calm. But then after that, it was like, it was this strange period where she went off, gathered information about HIV, and then did a little presentation for me about HIV. And I was so... She was like, sit down. And she was just going through, like, because she loves to travel and stuff like that. She was like, these are the countries you're allowed to go to. Unfortunately, these are some of the few ignorant countries that you can't go to, but we don't need to go here because we're too good for them. And I was just like... It brought me, of all people, I was speechless. I couldn't say anything. And I was really just sat there just like, wow, this person really loves me, huh?
During, like, because I was still in high school, then I went through, like, a really, really hard time, like, because trying to get other people to understand, and I couldn't get, like, loads of people's attention to understand, and I used to just put myself down about it, and I just thought, you know what, like, I'm just gonna, like, tell everyone, like, I'm not gonna care what anyone says, because at the end of the day, because I didn't care, like, if anyone walks out my life, then they're not truly my friends. And that's what I just decided. I was like, you know, I'm gonna take that step, and I don't care whoever's gonna walk out my life.